I don't know why I started humming that song. I don't even know really what the song is. I just know I hear it a lot. It's like a boss fight song. I don't know anything. Anyway, sorry, Stash. I don't know if you heard that, but she just grumbled at me. Anyway, I made some tea. It's maple, and I think cinnamon, but I'm not sure. I really should have checked when I just threw out the tea bag. But yeah. Ooh, I'm a mess. Hi everybody! Today I'm going to be talking about the book that I just read that you should be able to see on the Now What a Book Club post. It is Welcome to Hyunam-Dong Bookshop. It is a Korean book that was translated into English, written by Hwang Boreum. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I love the book. Seriously, I love it. This is the book. This is the book that you want. Because, as you know, I am super busy all of the time. I have a film I'm trying to produce. I do For Sick Girls Media, or aka Now What a Podcast. I have the pouring pages. I have my day job of a marketing manager. I'm an actress. I'm a photographer. I think I'm missing something. Because usually I have 7 things to count off. I think I'm missing one. If I'm missing one, I'm really sorry. Oh, book editor for Azzy. But yeah, so I have like 7 things to do all of the time. I'm running on coffee and now I guess tea. But this book allows me to rest. Like I really took my time with this book. This was around 300 pages. I think it was exactly 300. 301 pages, including the author's note. So 297 pages. And I read it over the span of 2 weeks because this is not a book that you want to rush through. The whole point of this book is to rest. It's rest and respite. Like the Hugh, the character Hugh, Hyu, in Hyunam-Dong, it means to rest. This bookshop is all about the in between moments in your life. So I know when we talk about the podcast, we talk a lot about these in between moments in your life. But we talk about it in a way of westernized, what do you do next? Let's keep the hustle up. This is when you get to the in between, you need to be able to take a breath and you need to be able to just take stock really and reflect about where your life is, where you want your life to be headed, and where your life was, and then make a decision based on all of that data, which I feel like people don't really talk about, you know? Like most of the time, I feel like we are on this journey of life with all these murky waters where we don't know where we're going. We lost the map like 5 stops ago, but we were pretty sure we knew the way, but we didn't. Um, and like the person with the compass, we threw away the compass. We didn't think it was like super important, really, because we were young and dumb and didn't know any better. And now we're stuck on a ship and we're trying to get home, but you know, when does a man become a monster? When does a man become a monster? This book is about a woman named Yongju. Yes. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Again, I am so sorry, but a woman named Yongju. She basically like quit life. Like she abandoned her old life. She did everything right. All right, we gotta talk about Yongju for a second. She did everything right in terms of like Asian culture. She went to school, she got married, she got a good job. Like that is the doing everything right. She was doing great. And then she started experiencing symptoms of burnout, which then led her to quit the job, divorce the husband, and open a bookshop. Which sounds a little bit familiar because if anybody knows, it's, I mean, It's not like I also had quit my job and also opened a bookshop named The Pouring Pages, which is a bookstore bar concept. We're currently doing pop-ups and online events. But anyway, yeah, I know, Stash. So she opens up this bookshop. She hires a guy named Minjun, who I think is also one of the main characters, to be her barista. Minjun did the school, did not get the job, and now he's doing casual jobs like being a barista. And then everybody who comes into this bookstore has basically their own story, their own set of outcomes that didn't turn out the way that they thought or planned that they would, and now have to navigate the environment of now what. So basically, this is the ultimate now what book. So I don't know about you, Natalie and Lexi, but I think I win this month because this is the now what book. Like literally, there is a character in here that goes now what. Anyway, let's just get into the meat of this, right? I need to calm down. And I was like, you need to just stop. Can you just not step on that gown? You need to calm down. This book is like sipping a warm, not hot like I did, a warm cup of tea in the middle of a sunny day with a spring breeze while you're inside your apartment and your windows open so you can feel that breeze, and there are cherry blossoms blowing past, and you have like a little cardigan on or a little blanket. It's very cozy. I have never in my entire life felt so gently called out by a book. Like I'm pretty sure this book was reading me, if you know what I mean. Like let me just share a few quotes with you, why don't you, that I highlighted, mind you. Okay. I like that you're a logical person, but sometimes logic doesn't make great people, because you'll always place logic above your heart and you'll claim to not know your feelings when in fact you do. His mood was like a roller coaster. One moment depressed, then overflowing with optimism. He started talking to himself. Immersing herself into the feelings of the characters provided a reprieve from her own. She grieved, suffered, and emerged stronger with them, as if sharing their experiences and emotions would, at the end of the book, allow her to understand anyone in the world. It's like I don't have the capacity to get close to people. I was always alone, my heels clicking furiously as I kept trying to move ahead of others, farther and farther. But when I finally paused to turn around one day, everyone passed by me as if I were invisible. No one came up to me to ask, would you like to try this? It's really delicious. Does this count as being disliked? I'm gonna die! This book is probably gonna be the book I recommend to people now when they ask me about like who I am and my character as a person. Like if you wanted to get to know me, you have to read this book, because this book spells it out for you down to the quitting her job and opening a bookstore. Like it really writes it all out, you know, like it's like a manual, you know, and I've never felt so seen. It's almost daunting if it wasn't so sweet, you know, like just so it's so gentle. I'm like, yes, you disorganized attachment style. It's okay. It's okay if you feel like you're disliked by everybody. Okay? Because listen, you're just in the in between of life and you are still trying to figure things out. So if you feel like you're still trying to figure things out, if you feel like you don't know where you're going, you just know you have to keep going, and you've lost the map and you lost the compass and it's dark and you're scared and you're all alone, you're not alone. You know, you can read this book. It's not a person, but it's there for you. And you know what? It's less disappointing than most people are. Like, in fact, this book will be kinder to you than 90% of human beings. This book explains why readers love reading so much, I think, at least for me. Like, I use reading as a revenue to self-reflect, to feel emotions that otherwise might be, unwanted, or I feel like are unsafe to feel in my current circumstances. Like, sometimes there's so much anxiety around all of the things that I have to do that I can't feel it in that moment. I have to breathe, table it, and feel it later. The problem with that is that it can get all bottled up. So I like to read because it lets me feel those high energy, high stakes emotions, or like even like the down and depressies. Like, when you read, you are able to put that into the characters and work your way and work your heart through the pages that you are reading. And I find that reading has made me more compassionate. Like, I don't think I grew up particularly in a world that rewards gentleness and softness and kindness. I get that, and I make the choice to do that through the books that I read, because there are stories going on in people's lives that I may not necessarily have the pages to. They could be feeling their own hero's journey, and I can meet them anywhere on it. I can meet them in the lowest low or the highest high, and I have to be able to take that and accept that and be like, I'm gonna meet you where you are. And for me to do that, books equip me with the knowledge and information that I feel like I need to be able to sympathize better and empathize better with people's situations. Whether or not that makes me a better person, I have no idea. I just know it comforts me a little bit more. I'm actually a really terrible person. I'm super selfish. So when I don't know what to do, it stresses me out. So I read books. So I always know what to do in social situations. Anyhow, if you are looking for a book to slow you down and hold you and see you and just give you a break in what is such a hustle culture world, this is the book for you. It even discusses things like capitalism and our relation to working and productivity and how we are taught to measure our self-value within those things, and how can we reframe our brains to do that, but not in a way that a self-help book does, where they're just like, do this instead. No, you learn it with the characters, and you start forming your own opinions with these characters, and that's how books get through to you. And they talk about that too in this book that's all about bookshops and book owning and all of it. And it talks about community and how, like, if you feel like you're floundering out there, you're not the only person floundering out there. And isn't that a great thing to know that everybody is just as confused as you are? All right. And they are doing their best. And you are doing your best, or you should be. If you're not, then you're being a terrible person. You know what I mean? Like, do the best that you have that day. Like, that is my only ask. Your best is not going to be the same every day, but please try to do it. Otherwise, you might hurt people, and you should not be doing that. All right, be a decent person. This book is great for if you find yourself in the situation of, so you quit your job and you're opening a bookstore, now what? Or basically, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life and I have no idea what to do next, now what? This book is for you. I'm whisking this off to Natalie.
We finished P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Connolly. Great read. Was it my favorite read? No, but I think it is definitely worth reading. If you are a fan of Emily Henry, this is the book for you. You're gonna love this. So, the book is about Maddie and Dom. Maddie and Dom share one thing in common, and that is Josh. Josh is Maddie's brother and Dom's best friend. Josh unfortunately passes away from cancer, and in his will, he leaves very specific instructions for Maddie and Dom. who at this point in the story haven't spoken to each other really in like a decade, because 10 years ago, Dom did something completely unforgivable in which caused Maddie to completely move across the country and kind of just abandon her whole life.
Dom, your job is to tell my sister why we didn't speak for a stretch of time this past year. And hey, maybe this request is immaterial. Maybe you've already told her everything. But if I know you, Dom, which I think I still...
Wait, okay.
You haven't.
Did the brother take Dom's wife? That's the question.
Tell Maddie everything.
That's where the story starts off, is at this funeral where Dom and Maddie learn about these specific wishes from Josh. And typically when it comes to non-fantasy enemies to lovers, I don't really connect to it, because if you ask me, that's not enemies to lovers, that's just we don't like each other, unfriendly, unlike. This though, what happens to justify Maddie's hatred towards this guy, truly enemies to lovers, 100% support.
Dom leans toward me, his earnest gaze holding mine.
I told Josh we got married because Rosalind was pregnant.
I knew it!
Those last 3 words play on
I knew
repeat
it.
in my head, looping over and over
so
again
proud of
as my
myself.
memory takes me back to that morning when I watched as Dom proposed.
And so that was probably my first like plus in this book. I love it when the characters' reactions like are truly justified to what happened. So throughout this book, we find out that Josh wants Maddie and Dom to spread his ashes in 8 places he never got to go to. He was a wildlife photographer, so there was many places he got to visit. Basically, Josh takes Dom and Maddie on this adventure throughout 8 states that he never got to visit, and each letter correlates with one of the states. And in these letters, he leaves instructions on what he wants them to do in this destination and where he wants them to leave their ashes. This is obviously not the ideal situation for Maddie, because she doesn't want to be anywhere in a 5-foot radius of this guy because of what happened. But she'd do anything for her brother. And throughout this story, we learn why Maddie is so distant from her old life and how she grew up and how Dom's family was her found family. Everyone, we've got a guest. This is Damon. As we go throughout this story, we learn why Maddie is the way that she is. And not only that, we learn like Maddie's psyche and why she makes the choices that she does. I have come to the conclusion, or at least the realization, that every single book I've read this year has something to do with a difficult mother-daughter relationship. And so someone needs to go back to therapy, I think. But I absolutely loved this book. I think it was fabulous. There was some actually shocking and surprising bits in there, and typically I can predict stories pretty well. That's the ADHD in me. But there was just a few twists that I did not see coming, and I really enjoyed when the author was able to surprise me. And throughout me talking, you're going to see some clips of my reactions.
Across his pecs. The column of his throat tempts me, that dip at the base tantalizing me.
Dude.
What I wouldn't do to lick that
It's so
vein marking his
good.
lips.
I originally listened to this as a audiobook and then finished it using the hard copy that I had. Read it as an audiobook. Like, the audiobook narrator, she was fantastic. She really brought the story to life, and I give all kudos to her. She was great. It is a romance story. It does end with a pseudo happy ending is what I'm gonna give it, and you'll see more of my thoughts in real time. But overall, I think I'd give this book probably a 4-star. It did slow down in the middle, not the middle, but towards the end, and you'll see my frustration with some of the character decisions.
Oh my gosh, guys. I think it was all a lie. This is crazy. So much is happening.
But overall, I think this is definitely something worth reading and worthwhile. The characters are all fully fleshed out, which I appreciate, and it's real. That's, I think, that's the thing I think bothers me sometimes in books is the character reminded me too much of me, and therefore there was some internal conflict, because I was just like, why would you do that? And then in my head I'm like, I would do that. My only gripe is there is a conflict that arises towards the end of the book in which I feel like the character's reaction did not really justify what happened, you know, like it was just a completely absurd reaction if you ask me. And my thing with that is when the ages don't match the character's reaction and psyche. So she's 26. The reaction that was had is not a reaction I think a 26-year-old would have. I will give her grace though. There is, you know, some trauma that comes up about 3 chapters previously from this conflict in which kind of gives a reasoning for why she reacted the way she did, but I don't think it's strong enough for it to propel the story as it did. Other than that, I absolutely adored the story, and if you guys have any recommendations for books that bring you on like an adventure or a road trip, please leave them in the comments. I love books like this, and overall it was just really fun. And if you're looking for a laid back read that's still gonna be thought-provoking and real, pick this one up. I highly recommend it. And then with that, let's go on to Lexi.
I think that's gonna work. I think that's gonna work. Okay. So, hi guys. This is my first video book review, so I'm kind of excited about this because like it just feels more like I can just like ramble. Like when I'm writing, I'm still rambling, okay? But this feels like an even bigger place to ramble. And I'm excited about it. But this month I read the craziest book that I have ever read. I have not been a fan ever of the like horror genre, and this definitely wasn't that. It was much more of a like psychological thriller sort of situation, but it like messed with my head a little bit for sure. And there were definitely some like horror elements, I will say. But before I keep going, the book that I'm talking about is Bunny. It would help if I had the book. Bunny by Mona Awad. Basically, it's about this girl named Sam who is a literary fiction major at a prestigious institution, we're told in the book. She's kind of an outcast, she's kind of a loner. The rest of her cohort, like all of the women in her year in school, are like best friends, joined at the hip. All of their thoughts are like almost exactly the same. They hug each other as if they've like never seen each other before and it was 10 seconds ago that they, you know, left each other. That sort of situation, just a completely insular group. And Sam is not in that group. Until one night, she gets invited to what is called Smut Salon, by these girls, which I think is hilarious. I think that's a hilarious concept. And like, I really actually want to do it now because that sounds amazing. It's all of these girls that have like, you know, they're all literary fiction majors, they're all writers. So they write smut, whatever they want to write. And then they bring it together into their group and have a night where they drink drinks and listen to each other's like stories and hang out. And like I'm not knocking that until I try it. I'm gonna be honest. Maybe it's not like stuff that I've written. I don't think I've ever will have or have had the ability to eloquently write in that way, but definitely like bringing in another book. This book, I will not say we're gonna get like super spicy time. That's not what this book is for. This book is for like if you kind of want to go to sleep and like maybe have a nightmare, but like it's a casual nightmare, but still you're a little uneasy. You know, that's how I felt this entire book. It's just a little bit uneasy in the way that like I imagine murder mysteries when they first came out were like really alluring in that way just because like you don't understand necessarily, but basically, after Smut Salon, Sam has whatever they gave her in a drink, you know, and she's sort of indoctrinated into the group, and they invite her to do what they call workshop, which is them working on this multimedia, multifaceted art installation project. It just takes a really creepy turn, like really quickly. And you don't know what's going to happen next. Like that was the thing that I loved most about this book was just that I could not figure out what was going to happen in the next 5 pages. You know what I mean? Like there was never a point where I was like, oh yeah, like I saw that coming. And then things get a little bit more intriguing, more interesting when a new character is introduced and they sort of bring together Sam and her original best friend before she was indoctrinated into this group that all call each other Bunny. But she's sort of brought back into a place of, quote unquote reality. The book really straddles the line between reality and fiction. And that's kind of the whole concept of the book is like you're left wondering what of this was reality, what of this was all happening in Sam's mind or in somebody else's mind. It's interesting because it's about all of the different facets of the human psyche. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily about like love or hate or optimism or fear or anything like that. It's really just about are you going to choose the truth or are you going to choose an easier lie? Are you going to put yourself out there into the real world, or are you going to stay in something that is safe and secure at all times? None of these answers are necessarily wrong, um, but it does force you to think towards the end of the book, like, why are we making such decisions and what is happening outside of these decisions that we just don't know as the reader? I don't know how long it's been, so I'm gonna keep talking. Did you know that I can keep talking? I loved it. I loved it. And I love the relationship between Sam and her best friend Ava. They are a match made in heaven, you know what I mean? Like, it's just when you have a friend that gets you so well and understands exactly how you're feeling, before you do, um, you can flourish in a lot of ways. Like sometimes all you need is just that little push in the right direction. I think that this is going to be my Now What book of the month because it is all about Sam finding herself, figuring herself out. A special big precipice is coming up, her college graduation. And this is supposed to be, a huge deal and a huge push into the real world. We get to follow along with her as she discovers the parts of herself that she likes and dislikes. I think that Mona Awad was able to make those emotions very visceral. A lot of these like emotions, they sat very close to the tongue in these characters. You know what I mean? There was no real like subtext um, between the characters, if that makes sense. And I think it just promoted this understanding of like, oh, okay, I don't have to be XYZ by any point. I just have to make one correct choice at a time. Correct. I have to make one move at a time. And wherever I end up is wherever I end up. And I'm gonna call my friends Bunny now.